The automatic detection system has found a possible match.
This guy?
Height, 174 centimeters, weight, 59 kilograms. This guy definitely fits the physical data that we were given.
Yeah, fits the physical data. Except that the readings show that he's 5.68 inches tall and that he weighs, 131 euros?
Yeah, ギャル男宣言。
俺ギャルを始めました BK 卒業パンツピタピタっていうか昨日も渋谷好きな食べ物はシーザーサラダガングロメッシュにからゴンレンズパラパラダンスの猛練習パラダイスに陶酔表現中ギャル男ステイチューン金じゃら銀じゃら銀ギラピンマルキューセールも仁義なし全身バリバリやっぱり B3CLLO キノコを食べましたトランス聞きました調子上がってきたみんなが大好きだ
Well, y'all know what time of year it is, and in case you're just that dim, I brought my future egging target here to push that point home. And you know what that means? Halloween-themed episode! Now there's a lot of potential anime out there to watch. Anime tends to lend itself to the supernatural constantly, and that means tons of shows featuring ghosts, vampires, zombies, and witches. There's literally no shortage of good Halloween material. If it were only that way with Christmas. Oh well, let's take a look at Witch Hunter Robin. I've actually got some fond memories of Witch Hunter Robin watching it back on YTV when I was in high school. For those of you not a member of the Canadian Master Race, YTV is a pretty prolific kids channel up here that generally only carried cartoons for the under 10 crowd. But when they picked up Witch Hunter Robin, it signaled that they were taking the plunge into offering content for teenagers as well. But does this show still hold up, or is my fondness for it just a byproduct of my nostalgia-addled brain a la Chobits? Superficially, Witch Hunter Robin is about a genetic abnormality in human beings that causes them to gain random powers like telekinesis, psychometry, or in Robin's case, pyrokinesis. When witches become violent and hurt people, they're hunted down by an international organization called Solomon that keeps the whole thing out of the public eye. The story follows the Japanese branch of Solomon, the SDNJ, as they hunt witches, focusing specifically on a girl named Robin, who is an Italian witch hunter sent to aid them. This basic plot is what occupies the first half of the series, and it follows the usual monster of the day routine as random witches show up and are hunted down by the protagonist. But once we reach the halfway point, the show morphs into something else entirely and begins to take on a true life of its own. Character-wise, we've got a generic anime cast here. Witch Hunter Robin tries to present itself as a narration well-grounded in reality, so we don't see any moe archetypes or anything of that sort, but the personalities are still by-the-books anime. There's Miho, the mother hen of the group, an early 30-something career woman who tends to guide the group and gets occasionally picked on for her age or marital status. As the complete opposite, there's a lazy, immature Utica, who only got a job with the SDNJ because of her parents' influence. Michael is the obligatory computer nerd and never seems to deviate from that role. From the first moment I saw him, I figured he'd spend the entire series spouting technobabble, eating unhealthy foods, and bringing up geeky shit, and I wasn't too far off the mark. Haruto is the young, cocky, brash noob of the group who lets his emotions get the best of him. Shintaro is the pure, unfiltered embodiment of the typical Japanese salaryman, and finally, there's the calm, old, wise Yuji, the owner of the Harry's Cafe the group is seen frequenting throughout the series. The main male lead is Amon, a no-nonsense witch hunter who fulfills the obligatory good-looking dude with a heart of stone and a secret past niche of the show, but he does it competently, and he's played by, of course, Crispin Freeman. Oh, Crispin, you have a way of brightening up everything you're in, except Diablo 3.
This place reeks of the dead. The fallen star must be near.
Really, aside from Shitaro's spire-like head, none of these characters have anything noteworthy about them at all. They don't go through any meaningful changes or do much growing throughout the series. But if the main hero is strong enough, do the side characters really need to be anything more than a supporting backdrop? Robin is the center of the show, and most of the time you follow her around. She's significantly more developed than the other cast, which is to be expected considering she's the show's namesake. Robin is considered to be a kind and polite person throughout the series. Sometimes a bit too much so. I understand that they wanted to make her demure, she is a nun after all, but there are times where she should be reacting with a lot more emotion than she actually does. In fact, disregarding one very important exception which I'll get to later, the biggest emotional response she has regarding the fate of the captured witches, her own parentage, anything, is usually the stereotypical single teardrop on an unblemished face. There's also a lot of passing things I really like about her. She's not overly sexualized throughout the series for one, and that is a rare fucking sight in anime. She's a nun, she's a religious woman, and she dresses appropriately for that character, unlike pretty much every other nun that exists in any form of media. You see her naked if she's sleeping or something, and then even the show makes sure to cover up everything from the neck down, almost as if Robin's aware of the fourth wall and actively denying you fan service. This is not to say I'm a prude or anything, I don't mind sexualization if it's got a meaning, but here it makes sense for her to be covered up. It adds to her character, and I'm happy they didn't sacrifice that in favor of the all-too Japanese tendency to show tits. Even later, when she's wearing the skin-tight uniform of a career cyclist, it's for a reason. She's undercover, and her gigantic dress would be like holding up a gigantic bullseye. Again, it makes sense. There are a few other neat quirks as well. Robin isn't a native Japanese speaker. Occasionally, her word choice is odd, and other characters react and comment on it. A lesser show would have just thrown blonde-haired character and a Japanese voice actress and never returned to the subject, but Witch Hunter Robin does it correctly. The show also comments on her Catholicism, and not in the sensationalistic, lip-servicey way that a show like, say, Hellsing does it. You buy that Robin is a true, devout Catholic when it comes up, and that's rather impressive considering that Abrahamic religion isn't Japanese culture's strong suit. And how Robin dresses, talks, acts, even eats. She is a stranger in a strange land. That being said, I still have some problems with Robin. I said earlier that she seems to be emotionally dull in most circumstances, and she is. But that one exception where she's actually reacting to a situation, yeah, I'm sure you've all guessed it, but it's whenever Amon's around. To its credit, it's not the usual near-comical, annoying, romantic attraction that most 15-year-olds get in anime. In fact, many people have said it's not a romantic attraction at all, but I think it is. This is a sheltered, conservative, religious 15-year-old girl having a romantic attraction for an emotionally distant, potentially abusive, significantly more mature older man, and that attraction is being repressed more than anything else by her upbringing. So when you see Robin react like this, and this, and this, yep, all over Amon. Young conservative girl falling in love with a distant, abusive older man. Oh my god, the show is Twilight in disguise! The art quality here is middle of the road. Some of the battles and effects they pull off are really cool to watch and hold up well even after 10 years. The character designs are a bit samey, sure, but they're all in uniform. Within that restriction they do well. However, you can tell that this was a low-budget show. For example, anytime there's a meeting in the briefing room, that is to say 3/4 of all the episodes total, they reused everybody's talking animations. If Amon's got something to say in that room, you can be damn sure he's going to be doing the same goofy lip movement in every conversation. The music is below average. It's all just mediocre synth music with a consistently depressing tone, even in places where it doesn't need to be so. It feels like they gave it a solid attempt here, but it just sort of fizzles out. It's all stuff that serves its purpose, but don't expect to find yourself looking up the OST or anything. It's just not good enough to listen to on its own. There's one last thing I want to mention before really digging into the core of the show, and that's its derpiness. I don't think this is a product of bad translation. The Japanese version also retained a lot of this. Sometimes the characters say or do things that just do not make sense. or situations unfold that any remotely sane viewer would question. Like, check this out. Look at this cool technology.
All I got was the layout.
Imagine if your aim with this thing was even slightly off the mark. Alright, I'm gonna download some information from the internet in my eyeballs here and... Oh god, what the fuck?
In the case 80 years ago, they even found a suspect. Kazuma Kurata. He was 30 years old. Kurata went missing when his boat vanished during a violent storm at sea, so the case was never solved.
Even if he survived, I'm sure he must be dead by now.
Why are you skeptical? You believe in psychics and fire shooting out from Robin's hands, and yet you're so quick to brush off the idea of somebody that lives longer than 100 years? Hell, this happens twice. Twice! They are confronted with impossibly old people. Okay, I'll buy your skepticism the first time, but come on! You've seen this before!
Takizawa's dead. They found him drowned. It was suicide.
He couldn't have.
So, that means we're supposed to be looking for...
There's always the possibility that somebody's been toying around with us.
Yes, Haruto, people are killing themselves to pull a practical joke on a secret organization that they're not even sure exists.
You've got to stop that machine.
How do I work this thing?
Get out, Sakaki. I can do it.
I'm completely convinced now that all control panels in real life work like in a video game, where you can just blow it up to shut the machine off.
Michael, how many degrees of kin did you look up?
I went out to 3 degrees.
Go ahead and look all the way up to the 6th.
Yes! Yes! Kevin Bacon can help us solve this mystery!
Where is the victim?
I figure the people who live here must have taken him.
The locals took the body. They took a corpse. I've heard of some rough towns, but jeez!
So you're simply a human being. Just another descendant of Saturn, nothing more.
Jesus Christ, why do you show that goddamn painting as a screamer? What the fuck?! Tell me your secrets, Grass.
What's wrong? Why don't you say anything to me? Or are you afraid of me? Is that it?
I don't know. Maybe. I might be afraid.
Anyway, it's pretty pathetic. A father who's afraid of his own son.
Whoa, wait a second, you have a son? Boy, my gaydar sure led me astray this time. This series has one major problem, and it's not that it's similar to Twilight like I said before, because it's really not. Without spoiling anything, let me try and get at the heart and core of Witch Hunter Robin's greatest sin. To write a truly exceptional narrative, you have to have one of the following two things. One, you have plot twists that are unpredictable enough by the audience that they are surprised by them, but not so out of left field that they feel cheated. Witch Hunter Robin doesn't do this. You can easily see every single plot twist coming from the mundane to the major after watching just the first couple of episodes. 2. If your plot twists are predictable, they must be executed in a way that is unpredictable. This one's a bit more esoteric, but let me try to explain. If you were going to watch, say, The Lion King, without any prior knowledge of it, I think anybody would be able to guess that Mufasa is going to die. Does that ruin the twist? No, because you don't know when or where until it actually does. In this case, it's the build-up, not the sudden surprise that creates emotional investment in the story. Witch Hunter Robin doesn't do that. We know everybody's agenda right from the beginning, and it doesn't change. The only exception to this is Amon, and it turns out his entire backstory is explained in a 5-minute scene of exposition and doesn't actually have any bearing on anything whatsoever. In fact, both Robin and Yurika have big major reveals that, if they were handled properly, should have shook the show down to its core, but they don't. They're one-sentence blurbs, and then they're ignored for the rest of the series, with the characters' actions never changing despite this sudden new motivation. In fact, listen to this scene where Yurika reveals the surprise.
Come on, spill it. How is it that you're privy to all this inside knowledge from Solomon HQ?
I'm so sorry. I was actually a Solomon agent sent in to uncover the truth, to get info about the Orbo.
Since we're all telling the truth, I wasn't brought in to be a replacement either.
See? They don't even respond to her. Robin just cuts in. It's never hinted at before this, never mentioned again after this. Nobody treats her differently for it, she doesn't act differently because of it, and nothing is gained by it. That is some seriously sloppy storytelling. If you're not gonna care show, why should I? Overall, even with these flaws, I still tentatively recommend Witch Hunter Robin. Sure, it's goofy sometimes and it lacks production value, but it's still going to appeal to fans of drama. Don't come into this looking for action because you won't get it. And don't come into this thinking it's a masterpiece either, or that it's good enough to convert non-anime fans to the other side, because it just isn't. It's a good way to kill a weekend, but it's just got too many flaws to make it a truly great show. And that's a real shame, because with the excellent job they did characterizing Robin, they could have brought it there with a bit more time, money, and care. But they didn't. And instead, we've got something that's much more middle of the road. Well, that's Witch Hunter Robin. A second viewing tempered my nostalgia for the series, but not nearly as badly as for some of the other childhood favorites I've checked out in this show. Anyways, have a happy Halloween, TP a whole lot of houses, and I'll be back on Friday for some more Pokemon Fire Red Nuzlocke Edition.
Girls and trends of every age, what you see will make you rage. Come with us and you will see this evening misogyny. It's misogyny, it's misogyny, it's in every game inside. It's misogyny, all the women make a scene, time to twist.
To the game that's gonna die of fire.
Success! The feminist queen in this game misogyny.
I am the dad sitting at my desk, giving other women such wondrous breasts.
I am the troll posting on your blog. These nice dads are just doing their job.
It's misogyny, it's misogyny, 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 misogyny. This hobby, they call it food. Everyone, why it is not
on hold. It's misogyny, don't we hate it now? Feminists waiting to criticize.
Oh,
Is that
Phil.
weird?
No, it's kind of like, no wonder you're in television. You notice these little things.
See?
Super Highway Productions and all.
Oh yeah, for sure. But this is Bob's car. You get a chance to win it. Is that cool or what? Actually, it's motorized. You put the batteries in there, and look. Boop! It's a TV screen. And Junior's on it.
Yeah. No, it's not Junior. His name's Enzo.
I know his name's Enzo. I call him Junior. Look, see? And you can take the picture out. Look at this. So we can put a picture of ourselves in there. I could put a picture of teeth in there, and it'll be just like Snit.
That's true. It's a snit in the back of your car.
Right on. And then you could have the guy doing them right in the front. I mean, you know, like...
What do you mean, doing me? That's not very nice.
I mean, you know, oh, I forgot. I could have the internet hookup in the front.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I meant to say. One called Sailor
Moon. Sailor Mars.